Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Genesis 3, verse 4. And the serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die." This verse marks the first explicit lie in the Torah, and according to the Zohar, it represents a cosmic fracture in the structure of divine truth. With this statement, the serpent boldly contradicts God, initiating false consciousness, spiritual inversion, and the descent into illusion. The first phrase we have, "You will not surely die," the birth of anti-word. The serpent directly opposes the divine decree given in Genesis 2, verse 17, "On the day you eat of it, you shall surely die." But the serpent says the opposite, "You will not surely die." In the mystical teachings of the Zohar, this is not just a verbal contradiction, this is the inversion of the divine logos. God's word creates reality. When the serpent speaks against it, he introduces an anti-logos, a false structure of reality, which becomes the root of all spiritual distortion and exile. In this moment, the world split between the voice of truth and the voice of illusion. This lie births the klippah, the husk that mimics light but contains none of it. It is the spiritual counterfeit of divine wisdom. The serpent as the force of illusion, Sitra Achra. The Zohar repeatedly refers to the serpent as the voice of the Sitra Achra. In English means the other side, the realm opposite holiness. When it says, "You will not surely die," the serpent is undermining trust in the divine. The serpent is suggesting self-sovereignty and introducing spiritual relativism, the idea that divine warnings are exaggerated or negotiable. This moment is the root of spiritual ego, the belief that one can know better than God. The klippah's weapon, half-truth in a lie. The Zohar explores a paradox. The serpent's words are not entirely false. Eve and Adam do not immediately die physically, but the death that occurs is spiritual. The soul's radiant connection to God is severed. The Zohar teaches that true death is not the end of the body, but the exile of the soul from divine unity. Thus, the serpent uses a half-truth to destroy wholeness. The lie that contains a kernel of truth is the most dangerous of all. The seduction of immortality. By saying, "You will not die," the serpent tempts Eve with the illusion of godhood without obedience, a shortcut to spiritual power without alignment. This is the core of all spiritual corruption, the desire for light without vessel, knowledge without responsibility, divine energy channeled through ego. The Zohar sees this as the corruption of the tree of knowledge itself, not knowledge as in Da'at Elyon, which is supernal union, but fragmented knowledge, knowledge mixed with ego and disconnected from source. The first breach of emunah, which in English means faith or trust. In the mystical structure of the soul, emunah, faith, is the crown of consciousness. When the serpent says, "You will not die," and Eve believes him, this represents the first crack in emunah. Faith is not belief in blind rules. It is intimate trust in the integrity of divine guidance. By doubting the divine word, Eve opens the door to experiential exile, living in a world of uncertainty, fear, and spiritual self-direction without divine anchor. The mystical reversal behind this verse is the inversion of chai, which is life, into mavet, which is death. According to the Zohar, life is connection to the tree of life, Etz Chaim, and death is separation from it. The serpent statement is an anti-mantra, an attempt to reverse the current of life and unplug the soul from the flow of divine sustenance. From this point onward, all human suffering, confusion, and mortality stem from this foundational lie. To summarize, Genesis 3 verse 4 through the Zohar is the spiritual epicenter of illusion. The serpent's claim, "You will not surely die," directly opposes God's word. This is not just a lie, but the creation of a false spiritual reality, the root of all exile and distortion. This is the first moment the voice of illusion enters creation. The serpent offers partial truth, tempting Eve with immortality without obedience, spiritual power without surrender. It is the inversion of divine wisdom, where ego replaces trust and knowledge is severed from holiness. The Zohar warns, every time we trust ego over spirit, every time we say, "This won't really harm me," every time we rationalize disobedience, we repeat this moment. This verse teaches spiritual death is not when the body ends. It is when the soul disconnects from its source. To return to Eden is to restore truth over illusion, trust over doubt, and divine union over self-will. That's it for today. Thank you very much for your donation. Be blessed, everyone, and I will see you on the next episode.